Hey, Mr. P here with Mr. Dave and Mr. Jethro, we're the Geeky guys, and today, Jethro's been trying to get us to do this one for a long time.
I have, yeah.
I like it. Before we say what it is, how are you guys doing? Are we all good?
Yeah, it's been a warm period just lately, hasn't it? The summer has arrived and stayed around a bit.
It's ridiculously hot at the moment. I'm not going to tell the viewers where I'm sweating from.
Yeah,
it's not
unmentionable places.
Well, yeah, those as well.
Yeah.
It's
it's not very pleasant at night, is it? Trying to sleep.
It's not, and we're British, so we can grumble.
And queue.
And queue, grumble and queue. We said this in one of our previous videos.
Yeah.
And queuing is probably one of the things we grumble about.
Yes, it is.
And the weather.
If there were no queues, we'd grumble about it.
Yeah, probably.
But anyway, that's by the by, because we're here to talk about something. Mr. Jethro has been wanting us to do this for a while.
Yes, I'm very excited about this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
My turn to be excited.
It is. I was very against watching this film. I didn't think it was my kind of film at all.
Bless you,
Oh,
dog.
bless you, the dog's sneezing.
Shame you wouldn't expect with it being Harrison Ford and all that sort of thing.
But I watched the first one, and I was a little underwhelmed.
Yes.
I've watched the next one,
Mm.
and I was a lot happier.
Yeah.
And we've got more coming. We are, of course, going to be talking about. I say, of course, it weren't obvious, was it?
No, not really.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Well, if they've seen the title and the thumbnail.
Yes, they probably know by now what it's going to
Yeah,
be.
Probably do, yeah.
Let's just click quick. Just all geeky guys just went whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll listen to that.
Yeah.
So yes, let's talk Blade Runner. Okay, so Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
You've got to watch it, Mr. P. You've got to watch it, Mr. P. You know what? You made me watch it.
I did, yeah, at gunpoint.
So
Right here in this very room, I made you.
Yeah.
produced the disc and said, let's watch it.
Yeah. So you kind of had attacks from two ways, didn't you? Mr. Jethro and me saying stuff, and
Yeah.
you just had to get it over with.
If it's worked with this, it can work with others, so let's not...
It's shown that the format works. So,
I'm not a massive fan of the sort of dystopian future type films. I know we've spoke about this before.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, obviously being that, wasn't really at the top of my list.
No.
I'd not seen much about it. It just never really jumped out at me. Anything I'd seen. I mean, it's Ridley Scott, good director. It came out in '82, so it's an '80s film. So you'd think I'd be there.
Ticked it.
Harrison Ford, as you said, pre-credits there. And yet I just and I watched it. Now we're going to get into this later. I watched it, and I was a bit underwhelmed. It was a bit. And Jethro said, "Oh, but that's a different version."
Oh,
Hang on. How many versions of this film has there been?
right.
Surely there's only one.
For those
I hope you
watching,
showed me the best version.
we were watching it on Prime, and of course there are different versions on Prime. Now, the final cut, which by many of us are considered to be the superior version, the one without the voiceovers and the one with the let's call it the unicorn scene, which if you know, you know. We couldn't watch that because you had to pay for it, and we weren't going to just pay for it. Like, was it? You already paid for Prime. You're not going to pay for another film, are you? So for this one, we watched the theatrical cut, which, for those of you who know, has the clunky voiceover, which was studio mandated and just awful. And I even said at the time, you know what, no, don't bother watching the film as the theatrical cut, don't do it. And you were like, no, it's alright, we can go. You get the version you get. And I was like, fine, okay. So, that is my version of events.
So we're watching the version that came out in the cinema.
In 1982, yeah.
In 1982 that everybody watched, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the one that's got a voiceover in it,
Yes.
which explains what's happening. I like to know what's happening.
Well,
And you kind of said to me, yeah, but it's better if you don't know and you have to work it out.
Well,
You
yeah,
don't want to do all the work.
do you want to be spoon-fed, Mr. P?
Yes, I did.
But do you like being spoon-fed?
I think too much of being narrated to gets annoying, gets too much. I think certainly in terms of setting up the beginning of the film, giving you a little bit of history or something initial about the main character or something, it can be useful. But I think yeah, I agree with you when they do it too much, when they kind of give you too much information and treat you like you're dumb basically, and that you can't work it out
Was this too
in the
much?
film. I mean, I would certainly agree that the theatrical version of Blade Runner is definitely not up there amongst the best ones. I think I've got the final cut one on DVD.
Nice.
Old one, which, like I say, has got that taken out. But I think that when you've already seen it, I think you've not got as much working out anyway because you already know a lot of it. But yeah, I think in short, having too much of that of story and information at the start it does ruin it a bit. It's nice to have a little bit of thinking, but maybe something initial to set the scene can be quite good.
We'll talk a minute about the plot and what it's all about. But I agree that you could have just had a few scenes in there where, rather than having all this narration over the top, someone simply issues a command, or he simply says to someone, "I'm going to go and do this," and that would have negated a lot of that.
Well, didn't we have that scene with him and Brian?
It was a little while ago, and I don't exactly recall. I just remember thinking when you said, "Oh, the narration's better, you ain't got to work it out," and I thought, well, just a quick, "I'm going to go off and do this now." But I think you really wanted me to pick up on like the nuance of what he was thinking at the time, was feeling at the time.
Yeah.
You're very invested in this. I was like, "Oh, he's going to go there and find someone." I guess it really is the analogy I'll use, because I'm just stroking the dog here, is you're there with, "Oh, look, this is a fantastically produced sphere with carbon fibre, and it's been made within 1/8 of precision of this particular piece of," and I'm like, "Oh, it's a ball." That's where we were with it, and I was quite happy to say, "Oh, look, that's about like a little bouncing ball." That's all I was happy with seeing, and I think maybe I do miss something because I wasn't quite as into the nuances as you are. But I mean,
Do you think it would be worth you watching it again and watching it one of the other versions?
I honestly don't think I'm going to be able to say no. At some point, you're going to make me. I think that's going to happen, and if that happens, maybe I'll be coming on doing a short where I say, where I make a disclaimer to say I like it a lot more. Who knows?
No,
I doubt it, but you never know. So the film itself then came out in 1982, like we said. It's actually an adaptation of Philip K. Dick's 1968 novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sleep? I've not read that. Sheep, sorry. I've not read that either.
I have.
Is it any good?
Yes.
Of course it is.
There are some differences, like instead of being set in the far future of 2019,
Yeah.
it's set in the far future of 1992.
Right, okay.
There's like the
That would make sense, because obviously you're looking at what? It's 1968
Yeah.
it was written to when did you say 92, and obviously 82 to 2019.
It makes sense, yeah. But still, it's sort of like funny to think, oh yeah, they're the far future of.
Well,
92.
a lot of stuff that came out in the past when they said far future,
yeah.
it was never far future, was it?
No, that's why they, especially when you don't put a date to it. isn't it?
Crazy far dystopian future of 1997.
A lot of the time they say not too distant,
Yeah.
because then they can sort of have things that are still, relevant
Or
now.
many aeons later.
Just be vague.
If you're vague, you can still use props you've got from a show in the 60s, and it's still okay, because you can spray them a different colour.
Later as well.
And it's, well, I tell you what, you're our expert on Blade Runner, so why don't you synopsise us on exactly what it is and what a Blade Runner is?
The first one.
The first film.
Alright, it's set in the far future of 2019, and sometime before there's been like a big rebellion of these replicants, which are basically these manufactured sort of like androids, but they're not really like made of mechanical parts. They are made of like flesh and blood, so they can bleed, they look like people, but they are stronger and smarter in almost every way. So in a way to negate that, they built a 4-year lifespan. After 4 years, They just die. And what we see are these 4 that return to Earth in order to extend their 4-year lifespan. And while returning to Earth, they get like picked up. The authorities know that they're there, but they just need someone to track and find them. And with that, they have Blade Runners, which are bounty hunters that work for the police in order to find these people and basically retire them.
So it's a small group that don't want to die after 4 years, essentially.
Yeah.
And they're trying to find ways to extend their life.
Yeah.
So Harrison Ford does in fact play a Blade Runner.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's arguably his 3rd most iconic role.
Is it? Really?
Yeah.
I saw him in Spaceballs and he was amazing.
Stop it.
It's been a long day and they did make you both chuckle.
Did they make a sequel to Spaceballs?
They're looking at it right now.
Yeah, so Blade Runner beat him to the punch.
There is talks right now that they're looking at doing a sequel to Spaceballs.
Oh, haven't they?
It's been in the news. At some point, it probably will make it into our Geeky news, but we need a bit more. We need more concrete stuff on it.
And
first.
new Galaxy Quest as well. There's been
That's been
talked
battered about for
a lot,
years until something's solid on that verse. But yeah, it literally they apparently it is just rumours at the moment, but it is strong rumours.
Fair enough.
So we'll see where we are with it. Anyway, that's by the by. So yeah, Harrison Ford plays. What's his first name? I forget. Deckard.
Rick Deckard.
Rick Deckard. And he is a Blade Runner. Okay, so it says on here reluctantly agrees to hunt them down.
Yeah.
Why reluctantly?
You saw the film, didn't you?
I know, but I'm asking you so you can tell us.
Okay.
Tell me all
As an
the
expert. They don't want to listen to my voice droning on for 2 hours.
So in the
It won't be 2 hours. It won't be 2 hours.
When you start talking, Jethro goes, "No, that's wrong. Stop getting Blade Runner wrong."
A fellow Blade Runner is doing a void conf test on new employees at the Tyrell Corporation, and is trying to root out who's human and who isn't. The void conf, it's not explained in the film, but it's essentially using your reaction times in order to test whether you're a machine or not. They ask random and emotionally compromising questions that for a normal human would add pause for thoughts, but for a replicant that would be instant.
Yeah, no emotion there. Yeah.
Essentially, it's just a set of questions where if you're human, you would answer it in a certain way. If you're not human, you would answer it in a certain way.
Yes,
and
and they ask
root
so
out.
many questions in order to get it definitively.
Yeah.
But this replicant managed to shoot him and put him in the hospital, basically. So they're like, right, we get this guy who's retired already, Rick Deckard. He's already retired from being a Blade Runner. But then after a bit of threatening and coercion, subtle innuendo, he gets pulled back in and like, right, you have to do this, and yeah. So that's when we say reluctantly, but he's had enough of it, but he's been manipulated into it.
And now a word about our sponsor. Are you looking to take your business or idea online? Then Namespace has you covered. From personal websites, e-commerce and fully managed IT services, see what Namespace can do for you today at namespace.rocks. I found this film, to start with, first time round, a little bit slow. Would that be a accurate description?
It's slower than some films.
Okay.
Mm.
I just thought you could cut the film down and it could have been done a lot quicker.
What do you think to
Do
that?
you know what I'm saying?
I understand. I'm not saying I agree, but I understand what you're saying.
It's kind of like world building, though, isn't it? And setting atmosphere building, chance for all the cinematic shots and for all the music and things like that. I think.
Which I guess if you are into, you're into. If you're not, that's just going to drag.
It might just seem like it's dragging on a bit. Yeah.
Then again, there have been films that I first see, and I'm like, that's a bit meh in my taste. And then I look at it later, and I'm like, actually, I really like this.
Yeah,
So-
sometimes you can look at it in a different way or find something that you didn't see
Yeah,
the first
exactly.
time.
So, yeah, but I mean, the reason why I was a bit reluctant to let your first experience be of the theatrical cut,
Yeah.
is in the final cut, as well as there being, the removal of the voiceovers, which was in the director's cut as well beforehand, and as well as there being like another different colour grade to it or other VFX shots to enhance the atmosphere and fixing some, not necessarily mistakes, but VFXing an actor's face onto a stunt person's body, which has happened, with Zora's death scene crashing through the glass. That was a stunt woman, but then they put Joanna Cassidy's face onto her, and then that looks a whole lot better. But the main change, which I think is the most important, is there's this scene, instead of like the unicorn scene, there's a scene where he is having this sort of dream moment. He's like asleep, half asleep, drunk at the piano, pressing keys, and then he has this small flash of a dream of a unicorn riding through a forest. And you skip forward to near the end of the scene, Gaff, who was the other Blade Runner, who was assigned to help Deckard out, has this thing about origami, like he makes like a little chicken, little person. After leaving his apartment, he sees an origami unicorn. Now, how could Gaff have known about Deckard's dream?
That's a very good question, Mr. Jeff.
The implication of that is that Deckard may have been a replicant,
Right, okay.
which is something that's been absent throughout the other versions of the film. But after all he's been made to do, and after all that he's gone through, for him to be hunting down essentially his own kind, for humans to build another one of those just to clean up their act, essentially.
Which is interesting because in 2049, we'll talk about in a minute, they kind of really hint on the Blade Runner thinking he is actually.
Well, he is a replicant. He knows who he is from the beginning.
Okay, yeah, but they build it up to make it make him think he's someone he's not.
Yeah.
Which like you say, that deleted scene would or missing scene would potentially hint at.
Well, that was in the final cut, which
Yeah.
is one of the reasons why the final cut is considered to be the superior cut.
Okay.
Would you agree to that? Is that fair
Yeah,
assessment?
I think that's the best version of the film. You get the most out of it, I think, with that one, definitely. I would agree.
Now, towards the end of the film, I'm trying to remember now from watching it. I do believe he actually he's been chasing someone. Is it Rachel?
What about Rachel?
Doesn't he go with Rachel at the end?
Yes. So he
Yes.
goes with Rachel at the end.
So he disappears with Rachel at the end.
Yes.
Okay. She's not. She's human, isn't she?
A replicant.
She is a replicant.
Yeah.
That's right. I was
But
going to
she
say.
believes she's a human.
Right. That's it. I knew there was something. It's been a while since I watched it, and I had to try and stay awake. So he basically goes away with the very thing that he's been hunting,
Yeah.
essentially, which is interesting, and I like it when that happens in films. When you get they have a change of heart.
Yeah, there's this exchange of dialogue where Rachel asks him, after she has essentially saved his life, after Leon nearly killed him, she asks, like, if I run, will you come after me? And he says, no, I won't, I owe you one. But then he warns her afterwards, but somebody will. So there's that sort of cynicism of the world he inhabits, which again is reflective of the sort of neo-noir feel that this film has. It's very influenced by noir films of the 40s and 50s. The hardboiled detective, the femme fatale, that sort of thing.
After that magical experience, we then find out, or I find out, there's another one, Blade Runner 2049. Now that came out,
2017.
I wouldn't say fairly recently, but it's not actually now. It seems to have been a while ago, doesn't it?
It feels recent.
It feels recent still.
It doesn't.
2017. So obviously, Blade Runner 2049, surprisingly set in 2049.
I think
Wow.
the
It's amazing how that happened, isn't it?
the final thing we ought to say about the first one as well is that for its time it was very good effects. It had a very kind of good, genuine, dark, gritty, sci-fi-esque, apocalyptic feeling about it.
Yes.
And the Vangelis score kind of held it all the visuals together quite nicely and like enhanced them in certain points.
It was very different to a lot of things that had come out
Oh yeah.
thus far.
Yeah.
There was not much that had come out similar.
Yeah.
A little, but not a lot.
If you look how big things like kind of cyberpunk and stuff like that is now,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of has its origins in like Blade Runner, doesn't it? And those kind
Yeah,
of visuals.
cyberpunk is very much influenced by that, and the writings of authors like William Gibson, and also anime in
Yeah,
Japan as well. Very
all linked to that, aren't
all influence each other in a way that I thought was great.
Blade Runner 2049 then. Again, Harrison Ford reprises his role a little bit
Yeah.
later in the film.
they? Yeah.
And I was happy to see, I preferred this film. I have to say I preferred this one.
Okay.
I actually quite enjoyed watching this film.
You go as far as say you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
The level of enjoyment, obviously there's a scale, but yes, I would say it was on the scale.
Why? Why did you enjoy this
I
one?
don't know.
Okay.
Was it pacing? Was it story?
It was, well, there was a bit less, oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this. There was a bit less narration, but the story was a little simpler and easier to follow, I felt.
Okay.
Do
you feel that, this question I guess goes to both of you, that Officer K was a bit more of a character compared to Deckard?
Yeah, probably. Obviously, there was a little bit more
Yeah.
to him, a little bit more going on. Yeah.
Because he had that dynamic of being a replicant, being sent to hunt replicants,
Yeah.
being ostracised from his peers and society as a whole because he's a replicant,
Yeah.
and the only form of intimacy he can experience is through an artificial girlfriend, which is essentially a product.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking here about Ryan Gosling's character, who's the main lead now in this film. I preferred Ryan Gosling's Blade Runner to Harrison Ford's. And talking about that artificial intelligence, that that sort of hologram type girlfriend that he's got, you get this impression that he does actually have feelings for her.
Yeah.
We don't know, they don't really explain, because this is new tech, it wasn't in the old film. This is new tech in this film, and we've just had a conversation in our pre-meeting about going forwards, what that's going to look like in the boardroom. But this tech, we don't know how tweaked this tech is from what you should have off the shelf and what he's done. They don't really explain that.
No.
Certainly the AI that he's got seems quite advanced. Now I don't know whether that's more advanced than this thing should be, or that is what you get.
I believe it's what you get because throughout the film we also see these adverts essentially.
Yeah.
You can hear what you want to hear, you can see what you want to see, you can feel what you want to feel with her.
Yeah.
And you even got like adverts with her naked as well, like sexually exploitative.
Yeah.
Fully
of her.
customizable.
Yeah.
Something, isn't it?
So there's that angle, and there's a scene I felt really worked. A couple of scenes where it's where her emulator, where if it gets destroyed, she's gone forever.
Yeah.
And then I didn't think this will happen when watching it the first time, but then love then destroys
So
it
just
completely.
for people that missed that, so the tech here is built into your home system, and you have it at home. It's not portable. But he has then saved up to buy a device to make the hologram portable.
To make it portable, and then that got destroyed.
So the program's downloaded to it. It's not a copy. You've only got one set of programs. Downloaded
it gets destroyed by love, and then later on in the film, you see him grieving and he's upset, and then sees one of these sexually exploitative adverts of her. Essentially of like the
version he had.
Yeah.
Her face, her body.
Essentially the woman he loved. And then saying all these like pre-recorded lines just to say to people walking by.
Advertisement marketing
yes. Where his version of Joy called him Joe. And then this essentially corporatized advert calling him a good Joe. It almost casts that whole relationship that he had with her, everything he felt, into doubt and disarray. And that's actually gutting, heartbreaking.
It's basically saying that there was nothing really there, it was all a program anyway. And quite frankly, you're a bit of a sap for falling for it, essentially.
And that's like, I don't know, that really was a punch to the gut, saying that.
So in this film, let's just keep going now. He goes and eventually meets up with Harrison Ford's Deckard because he's after information. What was it like for you as a massive fan of the first one to see Harrison Ford back in it, and not just in a cameo role? Because once Ryan Gosling comes into contact with Harrison Ford, they're both pretty much in it till the end. It's like a third of the film, is it? The second last third
about
of the
that,
film?
yeah. I'll be honest, I forgot he was. I saw it on the big posters. I knew who he was in it, but watching it, I'm so engrossed in the film that I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, Harrison Ford's supposed to be in this film.
Maybe that does go to saying how much Ryan Gosling was good in this.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, I don't think the Harrison Ford returning was a big thing, apart from when they were first off promoting the film and Harrison Ford's returns to the role of Deckard. But I think for most people watching the movie without knowing Blade Runner, or even on the other end of it, people like Jethro that watched it loads, I don't think he had a massive impact in the film, because like we said, I invested in the story and what was going on, and he wasn't a main part of the main play of the film. He just kind of popped in it towards the end, didn't he?
So it was just like a welcome
familiar
gesture.
face.
It was really nice that he's there. You could have made it any old crotchety Blade Runner that was there doing that part, potentially.
I think it works a lot better with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, it's nice to link it to the original, isn't it?
But not just that, but it paid it off, where how these conversations about whether or not his connection with Rachel was again manufactured, and it was even like hinted at is if he was created himself, but it almost all but implied, no, you're not a replicant. But again, still not seed of doubt.
There's a lot of that in this film, and maybe that's why I liked it more. There was a lot of these sort of hints that things were not what they seemed to be, and then they'd change and be something else later on. So who's father, who's daughter. It's all, as you go through the film, you keep changing your mind as to whether, maybe it's him, maybe it's her.
Hang on, interesting mystery.
Is it that one or is it someone else? And then there's another twist, and it's like, oh, I didn't get that. And I like that about it, and I like the fact that Kay's going on this journey, and you see the self-doubt, you see him think one thing clearly, and we think that. Then it transpires that's not it at all. Then he's almost disappointed that that's not the case, I think.
Yeah, there's almost like a mythological element to it, like this essentially a new race, if you want to call them that, the replicants, almost developing their own mythology, which again is interesting from another perspective. But another thing that we discussed as well previous, I first went into this film not realising or not knowing that Ryan Gosling's character was a replicant.
Right.
So seeing that first scene with him and Dave Bautista, and then that sort of revelation of, what's it like being sent to kill your own kind? And I was like,
Blew your mind.
wow. That was the first scene. I thought, wow, I'm in for a bit of a ride.
Fair, what a lovely opening sequence as well. You know, he comes home and you've got Blade Runner sat in the shadows, and I remember saying at the beginning of when that happened, it's like, oh, it's another dark, shadowy film again, isn't it? Oh, he's stuck in the shadows. Of course he is. And then we did get past that scene, and to be fair, it brightened up a little bit. Oh
Yeah.
I think they kind of stayed quite faithful to the original as well with the visuals and the style, and the type of storytelling, I think, as well. And obviously we had Hans Zimmer doing the score on 2049, and I don't know, you kind of got the feel of the original Vangelis score from the original. It all did fit together quite well.
Yeah, it's quite loud at points.
Hans Zimmer's very good at doing, you know, the blockbuster scores. You know, on par with John Williams.
The big scope and the feel and that. Yeah, I know you commented while watching it. Oh, the music's a bit loud in it, but if you've got Hans Zimmer doing your score, you kind of want to crank it up a bit, don't you?
It's like you have with Dune. That's a very loud score as well, isn't it? So
if you've got a full rock band, you don't come out with a recorder. You know what I mean? It's it's not what you do. So yeah, if you had to pick a favourite out of the two, Jethro, you're gonna go the first one, aren't you?
I can't do it.
Both the same?
Well, I think I'm very slightly just the original.
Oh, really?
I think, yeah. It's close, but I think I'm still original just about.
I have a bit more of a nostalgic feel with the original, personally, because I saw it when I was younger, and I loved it back then, even though I didn't know what to expect from it. I just really liked the vibe of it, even though I didn't understand it first time watching.
You mean you had a film and you didn't understand it? Geez, if only you explained things as the film went on a bit better.
You don't have to have everything explained to you. You just need to, like... But no, I enjoyed it. And I have that nostalgic feel of, the almost like the first time watching it is like that. I don't
Tell you what, Jethro, hold that thought.
But it's
you sit and have a
difficult.
think about it a minute. And while you're thinking about that question, me and Dave are going to put our heads together and answer a few questions of our own.
Yeah.
Because it's time to go to our Geeky quiz, where Mr. Jethro, every show pod, comes together with some questions, and me and Dave go head to head and try and answer as many as we can.
Time again for the Geeky guys, Geeky game, isn't it?
And we'll see who wins. So let's go straight over to see what Jethro's got in our Geeky quiz this time.
We dive right into this.
Yes.
Question number 1. What alloy is also known as Mandalorian steel? Yes. Come on, you buzz now. You have to answer.
I know, and I've just read the word came in my mind and gone Vespa.
No.
Adamantium?
No.
Oh, what is it? I'm close. What is it?
All right. I say you are close.
Oh, I know. The word came in and then went, and all I could think of was Vespa. It's not Vespa. It's
It's the Beskar stuff, isn't it?
Yes.
Beskar,
And I give
that's
Dave
it.
that.
yeah. Oh,
Nice one. Which was released first as of the first episode? Was it Deep Space Nine or Babylon 5?
Babylon 5.
No.
Oh,
Deep Space Nine.
Question number 3. When did the Wright brothers first take flight? Yes.
1903.
Correct. Question number 4. The Vulcan ritual of Kolinar is what? Yeah.
Marriage.
No.
purge emotion.
Yes. So question number 5. Who played Captain Pike in the Episode The Cage.
Jeffrey Hunter.
Was that a bit of a malfunction?
Yes, it was.
Let's test your buzzer again. Right, let's get on with the show.
Question number 6. When did Starfleet first encounter the Borg?
Do you need the episode or the year?
Either will do. If you get one right, I'll give it you.
I don't know the title of it.
Encounter at Farpoint?
No.
No.
Something like that.
Can I explain it and get the point?
Only if you buzz.
NX-01 encountered the Borg.
In...
She said Starfleet. It's in Enterprise. But I don't know the episode name. But they didn't know they were called the Borg. But they technically said, when did they encounter the Borg? Well, they encountered the Borg then. Because it was a drone left over from First Contact that was wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. So I do know when, as
Frozen
in
the snow.
in that episode from that series.
I'll give it you. The in-universe year is 2153 and the episode name is Regeneration.
Didn't know the episode name. So it was very generous of them to give me a point. But yeah, I did know it was Enterprise.
Question number 7. How many times did the Klingons appear in the original series?
I'm going to buzz and guess. Not very many. Everyone thinks they were in all of them. They weren't. They were in like something like 3 or 4. I'm going to go 4.
2.
7.
Ooh, I knew it weren't many,
Alright.
Closest wins.
but I thought I didn't realise it was 7.
No, I don't think it was that high.
Question number 8. How many Star Trek films did Jerry Goldsmith score?
3.
No.
5.
Yes. Okay, question number 9. What is the name of Data's cat? Mr. P?
Spot.
Yep. Question number 10. What is the derogatory term used for a replicant or a Cylon in the franchises of Blade Runner and Battlestar Galactica?
Synth.
No.
I can't remember. I take it was in 49.
It was used then, yeah.
I can't remember.
Okay, the answer is skin job.
Yeah.
So before we jumped off to do our quiz, Jethro, you were asked a question.
I wish you didn't.
Which one is your favourite? The original, any version, or 2049?
Well, we're going to have to do Final Cut if we're going to talk about the original Blade Runner.
Here's a question. Are there lots of different versions of 2049 as well?
No, currently just one version. There was a 4.5 hour work print, which they've said that we're not going to see. I wish we could. Wish we could. I don't like it. I don't like being asked difficult questions.
What, before he completely bursts, let's stop that question. Forget that question, Jethro. Clearly, that's going to cause a feedback loop in his programming, and we don't want that. We don't want him crashing on us.
Certainly don't.
Dave's answered. I'm obviously going to say for 2049. However,
So between us, we're about even.
yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to be Switzerland in this
situation.
situation.
So there was 3 short films made that explores the events that occur in the 30 years between the 2 films. So you had 2036 Nexus Dawn, 2048 Nowhere to Run, and Blade Runner Blackout 2022.
Yeah.
Have you seen these?
Yes. Have you?
I haven't either.
Ooh.
So just
interesting.
Just very quickly, do they have any impact on 2049?
They explain some bits. Nexus Dawn is essentially, I think it's sort of released. Well, anyway, Nexus Dawn essentially Neander Wallace demonstrates his new variants of the Nexus replicants.
Nexus 9.
Nexus 9, and it says that these are going to be completely loyal, and there's going to be no faults with them.
The age-old dream.
Yeah. And then Nowhere to Run is actually looking at Dave Bautista's character and his story before the film, a year before the film.
Right, okay.
And Blackout, which I'd argue is the most important and arguably the best of the lot, talks about the blackouts. I know, shocker. And which essentially this nuclear blast in space with like EMP going off and erasing all records. This was done by replicants, essentially managing to hijack a submarine, and with that they managed to wipe out all of the records of replicants, so it can blend in completely. Now that also caused everything else to be blacked out. In fact, you know, those flying cars, they came crashing out the sky. You had, you know, all these other records completely wiped. So there's some reference to it in the film. But yeah, this film also had an anime style. It was done, essentially an anime short film, which is interesting because a lot of films after Blade Runner were inspired by it, but were also done in the style of anime, like Akira and Ghost in the Shell. And it's just nice to see the things that have been inspired by the original coming back and inspiring the sequel to the original.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
good.
I love it. Yeah, essentially looking at certain events in between. So, but they're freely available to watch on YouTube if you want to have a look at them.
I might well do that.
So, looking forward to the future.
What, 2049?
Not quite. Not that future.
Mm.
The other one. The other future. So, we've got a new film coming out, or that's going to be made.
TV series.
Sorry,
Limited series.
TV series. Yes, TV series. Blade Runner 2099.
Yes.
It's going to be set 50 years after the events of 2049.
If the title was anything to go by.
Yeah.
That was quite obvious, but I just thought I'd
ourselves.
say it out loud. Some people need things spoon-fed to them. Spoon-fed. Spoon-fed. Spoon-fed.
Spoon-fed.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I
It's been a
couldn't said it
long
better
day.
myself.
My brain's melting. And I believe we did look earlier on in our meeting. It's filming imminently, is that
It
right?
starts this month.
It was supposed to be this month that it's starting to
Yeah.
film.
By this month, June.
in
June.
Prague and Spain.
Right. So we'll see how that goes. And originally it was going to debut in sometime in 2024. Obviously that's not happening now. They're just filming it now.
Yeah, it was going to be filmed in Northern Ireland originally, but you know, tax reasons and the like.
It's all about money, Jethro.
Yes.
All about money. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, starring Michelle Yeoh, which obviously from like all sorts, from Star Trek to James Bond to Enter the Dragon as well.
Yeah.
And also has recently won an Oscar, so she's obviously going to be in high demand now.
She is.
And also starring Hunter Schafer, which many know from Euphoria, and production of that is taking a bit of a while to get going for the next season. So, you know, she's going to be filming this before the next season of Euphoria. So,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
We'll see how that goes. And in June last year, well, 2023, there was announced there was going to be a Blade Runner 2033 Labyrinth. It was a video game that was in development, and it was going to be set before the events of the movie and after the anime Blade Runner Black Lotus.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they actually do make that,
They
because
do
you know
that,
what they like
interesting.
with video games.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It is kind of primed for a video game adaptation.
Yeah, I don't think there's been anything, has there?
There has.
there been
Yeah,
one?
1997 there was a point and click game,
Ah, right, okay.
but
Right.
aside from that, I don't think there has been.
They did a game a long while ago back on like the PC and the Amiga called Beneath Steel Sky,
Okay.
which had a lot of Blade Runner influences in it. A lot of the style was taken from it, and they released one on Apple Arcade, which was a sequel years later called Beyond the Steel Sky,
Okay.
where basically the main character that's almost like a Kai or Decker character goes back to like the city where he used to live and like finds all this stuff that's gone wrong and has to solve all the mysteries and stuff. Really, that's quite cool. But yeah, I think it's definitely ready for a new Blade Runner game.
So In terms of some fun trivia, then, do you have something to give us? Because I know you're an expert on Blade Runner, Mr. Jethro Atlas.
Oh, I've got a few bits and
A
pieces.
few tidbits of information that might be fun. Don't know.
Flying cars couldn't really fly.
Author Philip K. Dick saw a rough print of the film, a rough cut of the film before it was released. Unfortunately, I think he died before the full release of the film, but he gave his blessing to the film and said that this looks really good and is sort of like the vibe he's trying to go for.
Right,
in a lot of
that's
his
always
works.
nice.
Yeah, it is. Also, Mackenzie Davis, who played a replicant in 2049, also played a Terminator in Terminator Dark Fate. And I believe she's the only actor to play both a replicant and a Terminator.
Nice.
Okay, there's not a lot of those roles going, to be fair.
Well, not yet.
Every time.
That's cool.
Any more from you, Dave?
I don't think I've got anything in terms of trivia that comes straight to mind.
Well, I mean, if you don't have anything, how long you got? Because I can...
Go on, give us something else, Jethro.
Goes on the one.
Okay, in some of the wider vista shots of Los Angeles in the original film, because he used models, some of those models were repurposed, and one of them you can see is a repurposed Millennium Falcon, where you can see the front triangle bits on the Falcon with the two holes. You can see those in the Vista.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're just reusing props, especially with the Harrison Ford connection.
That's cool. It's nothing to do with this film, but did you know in the film Interstellar, to save cost, they actually filmed all the water planet scenes on Earth.
Wow.
Okay.
That, makes sense. Very expensive to go to
Space travel,
space.
very expensive.
It is. So basically, in summary then, the first one, Jethro loves it. Dave thinks it's probably his favourite just out of the two. I thought it was a little bit slow, to be honest. The second one, again, Jethro loves it. He's not willing to say he loves the first one more. Although I suspect he
Do you, if you have two children, do you say that you love one more than the other? I thought not.
Depends on when you ask them. Well, what's been going on at the current time?
I preferred the second one. No idea what this new series is going to be like, although I'm assuming based on the cast and...
Are you going to watch it? Has 2049 whetted your appetite enough
You
that
know
you
what?
might actually stick it on and give it a go?
Yes, I think I will, actually.
Ooh.
I don't think I'm going to have a choice.
A bit of time ago, we would never have said that.
I think that's going to be a all get together and stream it and watch it. And...
I hope
Blade Runner watch
it's
party.
good. I hope it's good, because if it's not, I'm going to be upset.
You're like me with the new Superman film, aren't you?
Mm.
You're looking at things being released out at the moment and being leaked, and it's like, oh, come on, this has got to be good. They have to make it good.
Yes. That's an apt comparison, because, I don't know, like, so far they have a 100% hit rate.
If they absolutely screw up the series, it could affect any future releases of films for a while.
Well, they're probably not going to release a film of Blade Runner for a while anyway. I give another 30 years, because the first film released, absolutely bombed at the box office. Second film released, bombed at the box office. They don't do well at the box office,
No.
but they're well regarded with audiences and critics.
Yeah. Which way do you go? I don't know. Well, the bottom line here is, if you like that kind of film, you'll probably like them.
If you like them, you will like them, yes.
Yeah, and if you don't like them,
You probably
chances
won't.
are you probably won't like them. Right, well, that's all for us from today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget you can find all our stuff at geekyguys.co.uk. Follow us on our socials, and catch you next time.